Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Second Age show for season 3 of The Rings of Power. And very, very exciting times. Filming is underway, and there is a lot to discuss. And I'm sure this episode you've been able to see from some of the hints that it will be Elven focused, which is why, firstly, I have Rivendell in the background, as you can see, because I'm there right now as a Force Ghost. And I think the really fun thing about it today is that I get to be joined again, and we're all together to discuss this again. So firstly, Strider, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm excited for this one because it's a cool one. And also it's the last recording I'm doing in this apartment because I'm moving. And yeah, I'm kind of like a little bit sentimental, very happy I'm doing this and looking forward to it.
Perfect. That's great. Well, what journey you been on with that one as well? So it's great to see your final one in the apartment. Shiv, how are you, man?
Doing pretty good, and what a time to be alive. I guess this is the kickoff, technically, right, to our coverage of season 3. First official video.
The first one. And I hope everyone else is excited as well. And joining for that excitement, we, of course, have the man himself, Varking. How are you?
I am always great. It is such a good time to just get on call and chat with the guys about some nerd stuff and then see how the fans take it in the comments and their own speculations and theories. That's like the fun and the beauty of all this.
Yeah, no. I'm sure there'll be a decent amount of discussion from this one today. And for this new season of Second Age show, we're actually switching it around a bit. We're going to leave our biggest scoop till the end, which I think is what we always used to start off with, the biggest one. So we're going to build up to it now, which will be all good. So yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and yeah, join us again for this new round of episodes. And just, I think now taking it away, we will go to the first scoop. And I believe that is Shiv.
All right, drum roll, everybody. Here we go. Oh, I'm hearing some drums down in the deep. The elves will send a plea to the Númenóreans for help against Sauron, who's advancing in Eriador. Dun dun dun. That sounds slightly familiar, if you will, from season 1?
But will the Númenóreans answer the call after what happened in season 1?
Dun dun dun.
Yep. Because from what we understand, we know that in the first few episodes, in the first part of the season, there is a direct call or for aid. Whether how elves do it to the Númenóreans, we're not quite sure yet. That's something to speculate about. And this, of course, does track with. This is one of the few things about the Second Age we know definitely happened. I think actually originally it was Gil-galad sending it to, I think it was Tar Minhata via letter, which was, and of course time compression, they're probably going to do a different way maybe, but yeah, we know this does happen in the first part of the season. But yeah, the big question is, does Númenor accept?
I guess that's going to be one of the big points of conflict as well in Númenor itself. Probably it might even kick off like a lot of like a domino effect when this call comes, and it's like, okay, they will be like, some people will argue against, some will argue for it, and then it might actually be the starting point that pushes everything that there is to be pushed in Númenor into a whirlwind of chaos, I guess. But I think that's going to be very interesting.
I think that's where people want it to go to. Like, one of the things in the lead up to the show coming out at all was how much people were excited to see Númenor in all its glory and all the drama and just how everything will look and play out. And thus far, they've been in each season, but they've not been like the big thing of the seasons as far as I'm concerned. And I think that obviously following the story for where it's supposed to be going, we know that we're going to get there eventually. And this really should be like the big giant kickoff for the elves to do their thing, but Númenor to get more of its shine before maybe in a future season being like the big thing that they focus on that season.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, because having this political drama and everything that's happening in Númenor, I mean, that's one. I think that might be the thing I'm looking forward to the most of the whole show. So it's good to know that we are finally getting there, and like things kind of started cooking a little bit at the end of the previous season, and here we are.
Yeah, I think if you go back a few years ago, and then you just picture yourself having this time jump from before the show started to now, and you would tell yourself, here's where I thought the story would be with Numenor, and where we're at isn't quite there yet. But not everybody gets the luxuries of time jumps. But speaking of time jumps, don't we have another scoop?
We do have another scoop, and this one relates to having a lot of hair. So I will be the one delivering that, because obviously I'm the right choice here. So exclusive number 2 for tonight is, because of the time jump, some of the elven characters will start to have longer, majestic hair.
Ooh.
And yeah, there it goes. Another thing that, several years ago, it was a very big issue. And I think we are finally getting into some calmer water, if you want calmer seas. So yeah, Barking, what do you think of this?
I think it's exciting to speculate. Well, one, it's like, which of the elves will get the longer hair is one thing to think about, because maybe not all of them will get longer hair, but some of them. And then, how much longer are we talking about here? Because we know that there's going to be a time jump. It's going to be somewhat significant, but it's not going to be like a 30-year time jump. So how much hair growing will these elves have done? If I could pick one that I would love to see with the longest hair, or just getting longer in general, well, there's two. But I would love to see Arondir with a little bit longer hair. And I would like to see Elrond with a little bit longer hair, kind of matching up to eventually getting to what the movies had produced. But those would be like my two big candidates for seeing them in longer hair than previous seasons. I think would be cool. But they're also like two of my favorite elves in the show. So there could be a little bit of bias there.
No, I agree. And I think also for this, I think it's less a reaction to what's happened over the last years. And I think it's more always going to happen, because of the 5-season show, and to show time progressing over time without it being thousands of years, and to also show that a major time jump has happened, it naturally, in my opinion, makes sense that the showrunners would go the route of, okay, the first 2 seasons, we might have the elven hair be a bit shorter, and then I don't think it'll be progressively crazily bigger, but maybe potentially for people like Elrond, but he's now settling more into Rivendell behind me, and also potentially the other, like Arondir as well. They will start to naturally progress throughout the show, and it's more like a show thing where, it shows the scale of time. It shows that, it's been quite a while since the end of season 2, and yeah, I think it was all something they were always going to plan to do, which, in my opinion, yeah, I think works quite well, and gave us a bit of both for some who did like some of the shorter elven hairstyles in the first season, and then yeah, season 2, Elrond's hair did get a bit longer. I think you could kind of see that, in my opinion. Whether they'll go to wigs or not is an interesting thing. But yeah, I think, yeah, there'll be maybe in some of the extras, even some of the extras that you saw in season 2, not the extras, but the background elves, part of the company, most of them end up having long hair, or longish hair. So you can already see that progression starting to happen. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
The last time that we saw Círdan, he was shaving his beard. It's not quite a significant time jump, but do you think maybe we could see some elvish stubble in season 3? Or is that just, there's going to be no elf from here on out rocking any sort of beard? Do you think that's the route that they're going? Shiv, what do you think?
# bring back the beard. Would be cool to get some 5 o'clock shadow or something back for Círdan. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. And hopefully Círdan plays a bigger part this season, because I don't think we got enough of him last season.
Yeah, this is the unique chance to get an elf with a proper beard. So I do hope it stays in this, like until the end of the show. because he's iconic for it. But I feel like it might be a thing where it's also like, as Harry said, like the progression of like how hair is changing, growing longer, to just show that the character development and the passage of time and so on. Maybe his beard, maybe he will dig into the fact that he has the ability to grow a proper cool beard, and maybe he'll by the end of the show he'll just naturally progress into having this awesome legendary beard we all know and love.
And I guess like another thing too that kind of logically makes sense is if they're in a time of war, maybe they're putting some self-care by the wayside because they're dealing with so many larger problems that they're focusing less on trimming their hair and stuff. So, hey, another argument you can make is they're preoccupied with war and focusing on other things.
Season 3 is going to kick off, and it's going to be Durin and Elrond in a dwarvish Khazad-dûm bathroom looking in the mirror, and Durin's teaching Elrond how to shave after his time spent with Círdan, where he learned what a proper beard could look like for an elf.
Love it.
Speaking...
As far as fillers go, I would go for that, but working...
Yeah, I think that's like, it would be a nice little filler segment. I don't think that's how we want to kick off season 3, but speaking of book elves, just like Círdan is, we can exclusively report that Jamie Campbell Bower plays a leading book elf in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 3. As we had previously reported, his code name is Arlen, and he has the description of a highborn knight, and he is the biggest character casting for Season 3. And we would also like to exclusively report that we can confirm that in that information of highborn knight is specifically the code name for elves. So if somebody else out there found some casting calls for the Rings of Power and you see the word knight in there, that character would also be playing an elf. Strider, what do you oh, go ahead, Harry.
Wait, I was going to interject as well quickly that, and as we speculate who this canon elf could be, we can confirm that it won't be Thranduil. We believe he's not in this season, and that's definitely who JCB is not playing. So that kind of potentially narrows it down a bit as to who it could be. But yeah, go ahead, Strider.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We discussed who this code name would be because it was reported some time ago, and the main two options were Celeborn and Glorfindel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm kind of hoping it's Glorfindel, but I'm not sure we're gonna see him in this show, at least not in this season. Even though one of the showrunners did say that he might show up, he kind of actually confirmed he will show up, which I don't know if we should take that for as granted. But still, I'm hoping for Glorfindel, but I feel like Celeborn makes the most sense if this is going to be one of the main cast characters. And casting such a huge name, like the only two that I can think of that are elves that fit the bill are the lad on the screen, Glorfindel, and I guess Celeborn. I don't know if there's like another. Thranduil would have been another good option, I guess. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, do you all have any other ideas, or what do you think of these options?
Shiv, go ahead.
Shiv, go for it.
Yeah.
Well, we've definitely talked about it ad nauseum on some of our live streams, so I'll be brief. But like Strider said, Celeborn or Glorfindel, I think narratively, to be a major casting character, Celeborn makes the most sense, especially with Morfydd Clark and Galadriel kind of hinting towards Celeborn in season 1, etc. It just makes sense, and it probably pains a lot of the people that were Haladriel shipping or whatever the kids say nowadays. There needs to be a new love interest if Sauron's going to be kind of doing his thing elsewhere now, away from Galadriel. So logically, to me, Celeborn makes sense.
I think before there's any shipper freak out or people jumping off the ship, the beauty of these long running shows is that over time, if shipping is your thing, there's still going to be plenty of other characters that you can ship together, whether that's like book relationships, like Celeborn and Galadriel themselves. You've got Durin and Disa. You have Muriel, Elendil in a ship there. You know, maybe you'll get somebody who really loves eagles in season 3, and then that's their thing, and it's a little bit weird. What about, you know, and not all shipping is good. You know, people who shipped Arondir and Bronwyn in season 1, guess what? Didn't work out so great, did it? But there's always going to be room for more ships. You know, the ocean is large, and there's plenty of water out there.
The sea is always right.
The sea is always right. That's correct.
I think there's definitely going to be at least 9 Numenorian ships we'll see at some point. Wink, wink to the very nerdy lore purists out there.
Yeah.
Is there any shipping between Winterbloom and Snaggleroot? If that was, Snaggleroot. Anyone shipping them?
Oh, how could you not? They were some of the 2 Ents from last season. They were beautiful. A little hand holding as they were walking away. Chef's kiss. Oh, you also have Nothing and Poppy. Or Nobody and Poppy.
Nobody.
Because nobody goes off trail and nobody walks alone, and that's how they found him in season 2. Yep, off trail and alone, exactly like the song said that they don't do. That's why that's actually good writing, and people don't want to give it credit because they didn't like the song and they didn't like the Harfoots. But that was smart writing to then have a character show up, be nicknamed Nobody, and they're going off trail and walking along. It's just
it is
to some folks.
Peak cinema.
Yeah, absolute cinema.
Yeah, wow.
But speaking of big cinema and big television, I just want to maybe just throw it back to the fact that this dude is the get for the next season. Like, he is, I think, low-key one of the biggest kind of like rising stars in a way.
Mhm.
Like, for people who don't know, he played the big villain of Rings of Power, of Stranger Things. Yeah, that's like the one of the the Vecna. Vecna, I don't know. There's like a nickname there, but the huge legendary D&D villain that we got to see in Stranger Things, and he's actually had a very long career. He's been in a lot of nerdy stuff as well. Like, he's been in the Twilight Saga as like some very young vampire in the last movie. But he was in Mortal Instruments. He was in the Fantastic Beasts, playing the young wizard Grindelwald. He was in this show Camelot, where he does play young King Arthur, or like the future King Arthur, opposite of Eva Green, and actually a very big, stellar cast of characters. So I think it's a great get, and like, look at this. Like, this was 10 years ago, and I think there's even more of an edge to him now. But like, he looks quite promising as presumably an elvish warrior.
Yeah.
And he can sing.
Talking about being an elvish warrior, we do know that he also followed Morphy Clark and Ishmael on Instagram recently as well. That led to some speculation a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, I think it's very interesting. So Strider went for Glorfindel, Shiv went for Celeborn. I'm going to probably abstain, but I do think it's probably has to be one of those two. I don't know who else would be like the lead. So what we know about Jamie Campbell Bowles is that it probably is the biggest casting for a character since the season 1 cast were announced. I think season 2 there really wasn't like a big main, like big canon character that was cast, but this is what is going to be, and we know he's playing a highborn elf. So you know, that could also narrow it down. Celeborn fits a highborn elf. Go back into his history. Glorfindel, you can also make the case as well, depending on which version of the Silmarillion and, you know, where his background from and what events he partaked in. I really bad English. I don't know which one of the 3 it is. And then I think finally, now knowing it's not Thranduil that he's playing, it does really narrow it down to one of the 2, and the 2 that again we'll put on screen now that has JD Payne and Patrick McKay talking about them being one that they both show up at some point in the show from San Diego Comic-Con. So it's funny that we had now gone down to this too. But yeah, because there's 4 of us, that's why I've abstained. So it doesn't go to a draw. So Varkid, who do you, and I've put you on the spot now, the hot seat, who do you think he could potentially be? Or there could be a third option. I don't know that you generally might think might have a case.
Yeah, I've got two theories. Maybe we're not getting Thranduil, but maybe he's Legolas. That's theory number 1. Theory number 2 is that, for shippers out there, there's been a lot of leaks and rumors online that there may be some drama around, future babies being born in the show. Is it the whole Celebrian? Will it be will they tease that it's Sauron's or is it Celeborn's? I know that pops up on the Torn Discord a lot. The other option is this is Sauron and Celebrimbor's baby that they had sometime during season 2, and it was off screen.
We do know that there will be a time jump. So
yeah, and elves can grow up fast. They just don't grow beards fast. No, I think in all seriousness, if I had to guess, I've always been on Team Glorfindel. I think just because of his feats, I think are so exceptional. It's things that I would love to see happen on screen. But I feel like 90% sure that all roads lead to Celeborn, which I'm happy with either way. It doesn't really I'm the dwarf guy, so them adding more elves in general just takes away from the time dwarves are going to get on the screen. But I do think the fandom in general, both book fans and casual fans alike, would be happy to see more book-based elves. And I think people have been asking since before season 1 started, where is Celeborn? If he is Celeborn, answers a lot of questions there. And if that is who he's playing, he's at least being played by a phenomenal actor with a lot of range that I think the internet really loves this dude.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think that's one thing as well. I think, the internet, the fan reception, he's also really in depth in Tolkien as well, which is good. And I think for me, my head says Celeborn, but my heart, I think, would be so sick if he was Glorfindel. Celeborn does make sense for the story, and if he does his 3rd season now we're going into, but yeah, if he was Glorfindel just kicking ass, he kind of gives off that, more rockstar, more, like nonchalant vibes. I think Glorfindel would have, gun-ho vibes. So I think that would be pretty cool. But Varkin, I have a third theory. What happens if Jamie Campbell Bower is Celeborn, but disguised in the form of Sauron? What's your thoughts on that?
Ooh.
I think that would it would validate a lot of rumors that we heard in the season 2 filming about the amount of Saurons that were around, the different people that he was transforming into. We heard some of this stuff back then. So if people want to look back at some of those videos where we were sharing rumors and speculation, that type of stuff, you can probably find stuff where it was brought up at some point that Sauron could be masking himself as Celeborn to end season 2 on this high note that was supposed to happen. It could be fun, but personally,
the question was mostly in jest anyway.
Yeah, I don't really love it.
I would like
Celeborn to just be Celeborn, Sauron to not feel the need to transform himself into a bunch of other things going forward. I will say, I think Charlie Vickers has done awesome as the Sauron character. And I think the moment he puts on the armor, as pretty as this man is, I would like to never see him out of the armor again once it's on.
Mm-hmm. Unless it's like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, Hayden Christian moment from the Obi series once. Maybe that'd be potentially cool. And also, as a disclaimer, that was a joke. We're not claiming that. That's a potential option. Because it was more of a joke to last season, where
it is just a joke. Yeah, something that may help swing some ideas or make people lean one way or the other. I think when I don't remember who got the first, I'm going to air quote, official release of the Jamie Campbell Bower information, whether it was Variety or Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter. But I will say, we put out the information that he was a highborn knight and codenamed Arlen weeks before the trades did, and I didn't see us get quoted or anything
Mhm.
attributed to us in those articles. Bad form, but in those articles, it said that Jamie Campbell Bower's character would be a series regular, and I think the second person who was cast didn't get like the same series regular. I think he was like a like a repeat something, where series regular makes it sound like they're going to be like more significantly like on the screen more frequently all throughout. And I feel like when you look at what Celeborn could be and what Glorfindel could be, it makes more sense that if it's a series regular and they're going to be on screen a ton, it probably does lean more towards Celeborn.
Yeah, and I think
we did. For those who are curious, if you use like search a little bit back, I think it's sometime in February or something. We had a whole Second Age show episode about this option. We theorized in depth who these options could be. So if you're curious, you can just go back and search for a more in-depth discussion.
Yeah, we'll put that up at the top of the video now if you want to go check that out. But I think at the same time, we know we're all going, potentially Celeborn, Glorfindel. In the scenario that, Celeborn's not been in it 2 seasons, there could just be the Occam's Razor option where it's just he's not in season 3 either. I think let's also put that possibility out on the table. And Shiv, what do you think would be the argument for having Glorfindel and him being Glorfindel? What purpose does having his character in season 3 potentially serve? We know there are wars going on, and maybe a tides have to turn. Of course, whether we know the Numenorians are going to save the day, could potentially someone else, come back from the dead or from Valinor, kind of like what happens in the books, and save the day. Maybe. What do you think potentially of Glorfindel?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you said. Like having I guess I'll use the word mythic character. It's probably not the right word, but basically someone who's like known for battle and glory, and having him available to turn the tide. I think there's a literary device. Like what is it called? Like when the
Deus Ex
Eagles always
Machina?
show up. Yes. I feel like they're gonna use him as that ex machina for the storytelling. Is so if we don't get him next season, so if Jamie Campbell Bower ends up being Celeborn, I have a feeling they will use Glorfindel in that capacity. Like the heroes are going to be stuck somewhere, and Glorfindel is going to come out of nowhere and save them. That's my guess. And another question I'd like to pose is, if Jamie Campbell Bower is Celeborn, how do you think they'll handle that reunion between him and Galadriel? Like, for me, like I feel like that should be a very emotional reunion, but based on like how we've seen Galadriel portrayed, where there's a lot of anger and stuff, like, do you guys think it's going to be like a super emotional, like tears flying kind of thing, or is it going to be a little bit more casual? Like, what do you guys think?
I think for me, it should be an emotional return. She is of the belief that he's dead or gone. She hasn't seen him in forever. So it's like, given the opportunity to give them some sort of reunion, it's got to be fitting for them to make it some sort of emotional return. Like, I don't know how they do it. But it can't just be like somebody in passing mentions that they've seen Celeborn out here in left field. Do you want to go hold hands and walk out here and go see if that's actually him or not? And she's like, "Oh my God, it's you." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been chilling doing blah, blah, blah for the X amount of years that you've been chasing down Sauron and getting into a bunch of trouble and pissing off the other elves." It's got to be something emotional and big. It's got to be one of those moments that when you watch it, even if you're not super familiar with the books, you've like casual audience members need to view the scene as it's happening and feel that emotion as well.
100% agree.
Yeah, I think they really set themselves up for a very tough task now, because he obviously should have been there from the very first second of this story. We should have had them having a child pretty soon, and yet now we only get him presumably we get Celeborn somewhere midway through the show, and the fact that he's somewhere we don't know where, and I guess Galadriel actually thinks he is dead. That's really gonna have to deliver. Like, this is one of the they have made, the creative choice was made to do this, and now the production, the cast, and the crew, they have a very, very huge task in front of themselves to make this land and make this make sense. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see how they pull this off. But at least they have, well, again, presumably, I think most people will agree that it's likely that Jamie Kenneth Bauer is playing Celeborn. If that is the case, they will at least have a very strong actor to pull this off. So that's good.
I also think as the show goes on, regardless of what they said at San Diego Comic-Con, it does feel like it gets harder and harder for them to introduce Glorfindel in a way that does justice to the character, but doesn't make him feel too overpowered and over the top. Like, I'm very big into the superhero fandom, and one of the things that people complain about a lot is, like, when you're watching the show Arrow and he's fighting some villain at the ground level and it's just two humans, basically, people go, well, like, the Flash could show up in an instant, put an end to this, and go back to his city in like 12 seconds. Why don't they come here? Like, where's Superman? Why doesn't Superman come swoop in? Glorfindel has done some crazy stuff. And it's things that I feel like have sort of been introduced in the show already. Like, Glorfindel kills a Balrog, right? We had a Balrog. Balrog's dead. So we had a character do that thing. Glorfindel gets to come back to life. The Wizards, where current Gandalf is, he got to come back to Middle Earth. So we've had a character at that point do the thing that he's going to do. And then if he shows up and he's a total BA, the question becomes, well, then why doesn't he do more going forward to end these wars quicker and be this super powerful character? It gets very difficult to try to, like, find that fine line of making the character cool, doing him justice, and not just being like a repeat of something else. Unless he's the character that kind of like tries to explain it all, but then it ruins the magic of Middle Earth, where he's sitting there in season 5 and he's the flashback character that opens the season and he's like, yeah, I've killed a Balrog. Yeah, I've been brought back to life just like these guys. And here we are now. Like,
maybe he's the epic elf in the Silma Mithril plot from season 1. Maybe that
could be. But I can answer this, and I'm gonna quote Tolkien right now because I'm that nerdy. Gandalf says at the Council of Elrond, when they are talking about forming the Fellowship of the Ring, he says, even if you chose for us an elf lord such as Glorfindel, he could not storm the Dark Tower nor open the road to the power by the power that is in him. The road to the fire by the power that is in him. So I agree that there will be a lot of buildup, but we also should not expect, Glorfindel flying around, I guess. So while they would really have to, like, make this character a really cool BA fighter knight that's really capable, I feel like there's still the fact that there's countless armies of orcs that will be awaiting them at some point. So I feel like they could, balance it out. And I guess he will not have to fight the Balrog. But then again, what Harry just said, like the fact that we had that Silma Mithril-Chlorians story in season 1, who knows? Maybe he already fought the Balrog and now he can just kill some orcs.
Yeah, definitely. Celeborn or Glorfindel, let us know in the comments below who you think Jamie Campbell Bower will be playing. And yes, very exciting that we've been able to narrow it down to basically probably one of those two, unless he is Orifer, potentially. Maybe he's a bit young too, but who knows? And I think the fact he also follows a lot of the close cast could be another thing as well, the Elven cast. And yeah, I think for now, gents, we'll do final thoughts before we wrap up. Any final thoughts? Or are we good?
One.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me see if I turn. I just hope, and I mean, we kind of have already something that denies this, but I kind of have like this tiny little fear that they might do something with Jamie Campbell Bower, like they did with this gentleman on screen, Simon Merles, in season 1, who was there for like 2 episodes, and he gets killed off, and he was actually one of the bigger names of the cast at the time. So I just think it would be brilliantly, annoyingly hilarious if they just cast Jamie Campbell Bower for I don't know, background elf number 16, and he's just chilling somewhere in London, just talking to Círdan in the background or something. I think with that stuff, it's not going to happen because we have said that he will be playing a very important role. This is the biggest casting for season 3, but I don't know. It's just kind of bring back some flashbacks until we see it confirmed who he's playing. There's always a little bit of this, like, maybe they pull off one of these. Though I guess not, probably not. But anyway, great news for the show to get this casting for sure.
Definitely. And I think with the caliber of actor alone, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out going into season 3. And I think the fun of it is, of course, we can narrow it down a bit, but you still have to wait till season 3, unless someone leaks it beforehand to find out exactly who Jamie Campbell Bower, is playing. So yes, we're looking forward to season 3 with that. And I think another thing is, I know how many people enjoy and miss the Second Age shows. I think it's one of the staple things for Fletcher fans and will help us grow. And I think what we're known for a lot of people as well, of course, despite now having initiatives and efforts to expand into different franchises, you can check out the FOF Cast, our podcast, which includes about all other franchises. So I know Striders and Shiv have been spearheading, rewatching the Wheel of Time. You can check a playlist out, which has all of those episodes as well, podcast episodes. And I think it's always a pleasure to do this. And for everyone watching, I know it's the fun of it going. I remember doing this 4 years ago now, 4.5 years ago for season 1. And you're getting random scoops, like seeing Galadriel fight off like 5 Numenorian guards, and then you just wait 2 years later to actually see that happen. And Valking, I always remember the day we're sitting in that theater in Amazon's thing, and then we hear the clip play and it says Adar, after all of us getting basically told Adar's not in the show, no such thing as Adar, and actually hearing that character name. So
I think like the week before that, I had somebody tell me, we've heard a lot of what you've heard, but nobody has mentioned anything about a character named Adar. And I remember sitting in that theater next to you, and the moment it came up on the screen for us, I fanboyed out for you. I was immediately like elbowing you to be like, yo, Adar, I can't, like, it's real. It's people find out you didn't just make this up. Like, it's 100% true. Been a lot of fun moments in the fandom, and we've come a long way. And I think also the show itself is going to come a long way when you think about how it started, COVID, the shutdowns, the strikes, all that. And when you think that season 1 and 2 were basically written back to back at the time when season 1 was written and filmed, season 3 is really the first opportunity for Amazon to have worked on this show with like fan feedback for years in mind, because the show this season had not been written yet. So it's the first time where we might be able to see an uptick maybe in more of what fans have been clamoring for online, but also the story itself is, the further it goes, the more driven and narrow it becomes on this very much lore based story, where less and less has to be like made up to fill time or like fill in the gaps. We're getting to a point where there's all these big moments that have to happen that we know are coming. So we don't have to have all this extra stuff. And I hope that this show has the season 3 quality uptick that a lot of other shows have had in the past. Most recently, Wheel of Time, I think season 3 was the best one by far. Both just in the writing, the CGI, everything. It was their best job on that show. And I hope that Rings of Power has a similar path in that regard, and things kind of keep trending up for it as we go through this 5-season process.
And that's another thing with, of course, unfortunately for Wheel of Time. I think one thing with Rings of Power we know is that, unless I don't want to say touch wood, but there's a 99% chance we're going to see throughout all 5 seasons of the show. So it's good going into this knowing that we're still going to have to wait or have to, see what's going to come forward. We know guaranteed that we're going to get this all pan out. So that's an exciting part, which 99% of shows don't have either as well. So yeah, I think, is there any final thoughts or we're ready to wrap up?
Hopefully they do what Wheel of Time Season 3 did. That's what Martin said. Couldn't agree more.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Later, y'all.